Hi friends, welcome to the Story Highway, the road where emotions travel farther than words. Today's story will take you on a haunting yet heartwarming journey of love, memory, and hope that never fades with time. So sit back, close your eyes, and let the sound of this story carry you into another world. On a cold December night, snow gently blanketed the quiet town of Maplebridge, turning streets, rooftops, and trees into a dream of white and silver. The world outside seemed frozen, but inside a small wooden house near the railway tracks, the flame of memory still burned. Eleanor Gray, a retired music teacher, sat by her window, her wrinkled hands resting on the piano keys she had played for 50 years. Every night, she watched the empty tracks that once echoed with life, waiting for something she could never explain. A sound, a whisper, a miracle. They said that long ago, a train called the Midnight Line used to pass through Maplebridge only once a year, at the stroke of midnight in winter. It had no passengers, no destination, only a whistle that could be heard by those who still remembered someone they had lost. Most people called it a ghost story, but Eleanor, she had seen it with her own eyes. 50 years ago, she stood at those same tracks, clutching a letter from her fiancé, Thomas Everett, who had gone to war and never returned. That winter night, when her heart was breaking, a train appeared through the mist, black, gleaming, and silent. Through its windows, she saw faces, soldiers, mothers, children, all from another time. In one of those faces, she saw Thomas smiling at her, but before she could call his name, the train vanished into the snow. Since then, every winter, she waited, not in sadness but in hope that maybe one day the train would come back. And on this December night, as the clock neared midnight, Eleanor felt something stir in the air. Her old gramophone played their favorite waltz, the same melody Thomas had once hummed to her on their last evening together. She turned off the lights and stepped outside. The world was quiet, the kind of quiet that only happens when something extraordinary is about to begin. Then faintly, she heard it. The distant whistle of a train. Her heart trembled. The sound grew louder, echoing across the valley. From the curtain of snow, a light appeared, soft at first, then brighter, like a sunrise piercing through the night. The midnight line rolled into view, majestic and ageless, its wheels cutting through the snow without leaving a mark. It stopped right in front of her house. Steam curled through the air like breath, and the doors slid open with a hiss. Inside, everything glowed with golden warmth, as if the past itself was alive. And there he was, Thomas. Not a day older than when he left. His uniform was pressed, his eyes full of the same gentle love. "Ellie," he whispered, his voice carrying through the snowfall, "I told you I'd come back." Tears filled her eyes as she reached out her trembling hand. "You kept your promise," she said softly. Eleanor stepped onto the train, feeling the warmth wrap around her like a memory. Inside, she saw passengers she once knew, her former students, old neighbors, and faces she had seen in photographs long gone. They smiled at her, as though welcoming her home. Thomas led her to a seat by the window. The train began to move, slow and steady, as if gliding through dreams. Outside, the world faded into a sea of starlight. They spoke for hours, about lost years, about the things they never got to say. Thomas told her about the day he wrote his last letter, how he wished she'd never stop playing their song. She told him about the life she built around that promise, how she kept his photo near the piano, and how she always waited. time no longer mattered. The rhythm of the wheels was like a heartbeat, slow, eternal, peaceful. Eleanor rested her head on his shoulder, closing her eyes. When she opened them again, there was light, warm, golden light flooding the carriage. The train was slowing down. Thomas smiled at her and whispered, "We're home." They stood together, holding hands, as the doors opened to reveal an endless horizon, bright, soft, and silent. Together they stepped into it and vanished into the morning light. The next day, Maplebridge woke to a calm silence. Snow lay untouched over the tracks, as if no one had passed through. Eleanor's house was quiet, her shawl folded neatly on the chair beside the window. The gramophone was still spinning, playing the faint notes of a love song. The townspeople whispered that the midnight line had returned. Some claimed they saw its light through the snow. Others swore they heard a whistle echoing far away. But one thing everyone agreed on. The air felt different that morning, warmer somehow, as if love itself had passed through the town. Since then, people still gather by the railway every winter at midnight. Some come to remember, some come to hope. And every once in a while, when the snow is heavy and the moon hides behind the clouds, someone hears it. That faraway whistle of the train that never stopped. Because some journeys never end, and some loves never fade. And that was The Train That Never Stopped. A story that reminds us that love doesn't end when time does. Thank you for traveling with us on the Story Highway tonight. If this story touched your heart, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Join us again next time for another emotional journey, only on the Story Highway, where every story finds its way home.